So today I'm really excited to share with you the first part in my journey to build an ethical or an ESG investment portfolio. So I really want to build an ethical portfolio that is about me picking stocks and choosing the investments themselves. So typically I have invested in funds that do this for me, but I really want to kind of challenge myself and start looking at individual stocks and choosing these on my own. So I'm bringing you along for the ride. So welcome to the Looking After Your Pennies YouTube channel. My name is Charlotte Jessup, and today I'm going to be talking you through how I am going about building my own ESG or ethical investment portfolio. Now, I've got four main objectives from this video. So the first one is why eToro? This is my investment platform of choice for this particular project, and I'm going to talk you through why I'm choosing this particular platform. Number two, what is ESG investing? So I'm going to talk you through exactly what this is, what it means, and the things that I'm going to be looking out for when I put together this portfolio. So number three is how do you research ESG stocks and funds? So I'm going to talk you through the process that I go through when I pick my particular funds and stocks that I want in my investment portfolio. And number four, I'm going to share with you my choice for this month. So I'm going to make this an ongoing series, and I'm going to pick a different stock or fund to invest in that's based around my personal ethics to build my own ESG fund. And at the end of this video, I will share with you my choice for this month. Now, before I go any further, I just want to put a bit of a disclaimer. This is not financial advice. I'm not telling you that these are the stocks that you should be investing in. This is about me going on my own journey and showing you my progress. The whole purpose of this for me was around learning a bit more about individual stocks, looking at the information and the graphs and doing the research around picking individual stocks. It's also a little bit of fun. So I know that I am investing this money and I know the risks involved in there. When you invest, your money can go down as well as up. So if you are thinking about investing, you need to remember that as well. I know that my capital is at risk and I am happy with that decision. So let's jump in and address that first objective then. Why eToro? So why have I chosen this particular platform? Now, I'll be honest, I use a lot of different investment platforms. So the bulk of my investments go into my stocks and shares ISA with Vanguard. Now for me, that is a tax efficient way for me to invest, and I'm quite happy with that platform. Now I also use lots of other investment platforms, both for the purposes of my own understanding and trying out new things, seeing if there's a platform that I particularly like, and also so that I can provide videos like this around different platforms so that you can make an informed decision about which one might be right for you. Now, eToro is one that I have not really used before. I have kind of dabbled with it a little bit, but I haven't actually made any real sort of major investments. I don't have a lot going on that platform. So for me, I can go into this particular platform knowing that I have no other investments going on there. When I go in and check my ESG investment portfolio, everything that will be on eToro will be just for that purpose. So each of these videos, as we go month on month, I'll just be able to look at eToro and know that everything that's going on, any increase in my portfolio, will be because of this series of videos and these particular stock picks. Now, why might eToro be a good choice? So this is a multi-asset platform. They have stocks, funds, commodities, and even crypto assets. They also offer CFDs, so these are contracts for difference. Now, this is a more riskier form of investing, and actually 67% of people that use eToro actually will lose money, and it is because of these CFDs. Now, this is accurate at the time of recording. This percentage kind of goes up and down, so you might need to check for this information on the eToro app or on their website before you start. But if you are just investing like we are rather than trading, then you are unlikely to see those particular losses. I'm thinking about long-term investing. Even with this stock picking, my aim is to kind of pick some stocks that I intend to hold for the long term. Now, another great thing about eToro is they actually have a virtual platform. So if you want to maybe dabble with investing, but you still want to learn about how the world of the stock market works, then you can actually sign up with eToro and trial out their virtual platform. Different investing platforms provide this, but I really like eToro's version of this. So maybe if you want to have a go at creating your own ESG investment portfolio, but you're not feeling quite ready to take that step yourself with your own money and putting your own money at risk, you can try this out on a virtual platform instead. Another great thing about eToro is that they have both an app and a desktop version. Now, I like doing things on my desktop, particularly when I'm, doing some research, crunching some numbers, putting some kind of ideas together. So for me, being able to access my investments both on my phone for when I'm on the go or, lounging around on the sofa, and also then to be able to look onto the desktop version and get more information and see what's going on with my investments there is really useful for me. So the desktop version has a whole load of information. It's super easy to use. It can be great for those people who maybe want to stay hands off with their investments, so you don't have to download the app. You can keep it purely on your desktop, and that will then stop you checking in 2 or 3 times a day just to see how your investments are doing. So if you're very much thinking, buy and hold, then maybe just not having an app and just using the desktop version could be really helpful for you. So they also have lots of great information. So if you type in a particular stock, they will give you a whole wealth of information about that particular company. They will give you information about when they were founded, and then all sorts of information about how they have performed over the last however many years. They have so much information already on that platform. If you are like a maths nerd and you love charts just like I do, then they have all sorts of bits and pieces on there that you will be able to nerd out about and just spend hours looking at, so you can make informed decisions about your stocks and funds that you are choosing to be a part of your investment portfolio. So the last thing to say is that eToro don't offer more tax efficient versions. You will just have a general investment account. So this means that any gains that I make on this particular platform or any dividends that I receive will be subject to tax. You need to take this in mind. There are more tax efficient versions of investment platforms out there where you can get things like stocks and shares ISAs, or you could get a SIP, which is a self-invested personal pension. So it's always a good idea to look at those options first, and then if you're kind of maxing those out, or if you're a bit like me and you want to kind of do different sorts of investing in different places, then maybe look at those. Like I said, the majority of my investments are going into my stocks and shares ISA. This for me is just a little fun project that I'm doing on the side. So what is ESG investing? So this is kind of a step on from what we call socially responsible investing. So a lot of people now want to make sure that their investments are doing good things for the planet and the people and the creatures and everything that lives on that planet too. So socially responsible investing was an idea that's been around for a long time, and it's something where maybe you didn't want to invest in firearms or tobacco, things to do with the environment like pollution or fossil fuels, things like this. So people have been making socially responsible investment choices for a long time now. What we found was that more people wanted to take that a step further. They wanted to be able to get quick and easy access to the information about whether their investments were ethical, whether they were doing good things in the world, or whether they were doing bad things. So this is where this whole idea of ESG investing comes from. So what does ESG stand for then? So the E is for environmental. So this will look at what a company is doing in relation to things like climate change, water usage, pollution, carbon footprints, all sorts of other things related to the environment. So this can include using fossil fuels or clean energy. It can look at recycling and things like that too. The S then stands for social. So this is how a company is performing in relation to kind of social metrics. So this looks at things like treatment of employees, staff turnover, the mission of a company, whether that's something good or something bad, or if they have no mission at all. It also looks at things like diversity and inclusion, how they look at employing people and recruiting people, and how the kind of the makeup of the company, what that looks like. It also looks at the suppliers and whether they are using things like, exploiting workers, or if there is exploitation further down the supply chain. It also looks at how they treat their wider communities. So this can be things like, are they doing good things in the communities? Are they looking at recruiting people in their, local environment, or are they outsourcing these things? So how they treat the people that actually are around them physically is also a part of that S in ESG. Now the last one is G, and this stands for governance. So this scores these companies on things like CEO pay. So is there a big discrepancy between the people at the top of the company and the people at the bottom? It also looks at things like diversity in the board of directors. It looks at things like compensation, legal disputes, or anything that might be causing a particular controversy, and the transparency of their communication. So how clear are they when it comes to communicating with their shareholders and members of the wider public? So that's what ESG stands for, and there is a scoring system for this. I will show this to you in a bit more detail in the kind of next section, so you can look at these scores and how you might use these to decide which stocks you want to invest in or which funds you might want to invest in. So when you are looking at ESG investing, you want to pick the companies that score well in these areas. So this doesn't necessarily mean that these companies are going to be doing anything that is particularly groundbreaking in the environment, in the communities, but it just means that they're not doing anything particularly damaging. There's obviously a motivation when you're investing that you want to make money too. And actually what we are seeing in the world of ESG investing is that these particular stocks and funds are actually outperforming their non-ESG equivalents. So there is still money, and good money, to be made in this particular field. But it doesn't necessarily mean that they're having a hugely positive impact in these areas. It just means that they're not having a negative impact. It could be that some of the companies that are included in, say, ESG funds, or some of the companies that I'm going to talk about in future videos, have maybe had a bit of a rocky past on this front, but they are doing more positive things and have some clear plans in place to make improvements within their company, and they're actually meeting those targets. So my plan is to talk you through each of my choices month on month, so you can see exactly why I'm choosing those companies and what they're actually doing in their companies that's going to help the environment or the social elements, or what they're doing on a governance perspective. So you will get to have some transparency around these companies, and I will talk you through some of the things that I am thinking about when I make these decisions. How to research ESG stocks. So obviously there are two motivations for me here. I want to pick stocks that are firstly looking after the planet, or at least doing something positive in the world and not having a negative impact. But also, I want to invest wisely from a financial perspective. So I need to do my research to make sure that these companies are aligned with my morals, but also that they're going to turn me a profit as well. Now, I would say from my kind of own experience, and like I said, this is a journey that we are on together here. You're going to see, like, in real time how I learn about these things. So I think that I am more clued up around choosing these ESG stocks from the kind of moral standpoint than I am around picking stocks from a financial standpoint. So I have got some learning to do in both areas, but I do need to do a huge amount of learning around how I want to pick stocks that are going to make me a profit. So this is going to be a learning journey around what sort of things I need to look for in terms of history, the research of the company, what they're doing, their margins, all of these sorts of things, so that I can make good financial picks and also good moral picks too. Now, if you are new to this and you're thinking, yeah, I don't know how to do any of that either, then do not worry, because actually this is how I have been cheating on this front for, the whole of my investment life, is I have been using ESG funds. So I am trusting asset management companies. So for example, Vanguard, which is the company that I've been using before, to put together these ESG funds for me. So they pick these companies, they put them all into a fund, which is like a group of companies, and then I just buy into that fund. So I've not had to research the individual companies for myself. So if you're thinking that this is more the style of investing that you want to do, then you can look into ESG funds. And it is likely that I'll do a video about this in the future, so you can learn more about these types of funds if you feel that that's more the route for you. However, like I say, I'm learning about this too, so I am going to be doing some of this research myself. So I want to show you how I am doing this research and the resources that I am using. Okay, so I have an iPhone and I like the little like stocks app to kind of like keep an eye on stocks, and I don't know, I just check in to look at the graphs, you know what I'm like. But I use this to kind of do some of my research around ESG funds and stocks, and there are some great resources on here that can help you out too. So let's pick a company. A popular one that lots of people have been talking about for a little while now is Tesla. So I'm going to search for that and it comes up there. Now here you can see the graph. It's very red at the moment. It doesn't really tell me. It tells me a little bit about like the past performance, and if we have a look, we can see how it's performed over the last year or two. But what I really want to do is I'm going to click this kind of like blue sentence here that says more data from Yahoo Finance, because this is where we can get the really useful information about the ESG statistics on this. So there we go. I'm going to head over here, and as you can see, there are these headings across the top. So we've got like statistics, historical data. Now, all of this is really useful if you are looking at kind of like the financially driven aspects of choosing a particular stock. Then you can look at all this information. There is so much here that would be useful. Now, when it comes to choosing the like ESG stocks, so the information that we need in order to pick those stocks, if we scroll completely over to the right on these little subheadings, we can click sustainability. Now you can do this on a desktop as well. You can just go to Yahoo Finance, type in the particular stock that you're looking at investing in, and then you can look at the sustainability. Here it shows me exactly how Tesla is performing. So it's got this total ESG risk score. Now this is out of 100. Kind of anything in the sort of 30s upwards is considered high. So these aren't necessarily companies that we would want to particularly pick. So Tesla is here, and their environmental risk score, we've got a 3 there. This is quite low, but that social risk score is higher. The governance risk score is also higher. So this is why they're not performing particularly well. Obviously, they're doing good things for the environment. They're, you know, doing electric cars, which is fab, but clearly there are some issues in the practices within the company around how they are treating their staff or what they're doing in their communities. And also there's probably an issue with the governance in terms of maybe there's a big disparity between the guy at the top and also the people lower down in the company. And this is what can give you that higher governance risk score. You can also have a look at this like controversy level. 3 is the thing that's called significant controversy level. And if I just click that there, it gives you some more information about what that particularly means. Now, one thing that I find particularly useful on this area of Yahoo Finance is if you scroll down, it has product involvement areas. So you can see what sort of things this company is involved in. They have things like, are they involved in alcoholic beverages, adult entertainment, gambling, tobacco, animal testing, pesticides, palm oil, all those things are there. So if you have a particular moral stance on one of these issues, you can then choose a company and see if they have any involvement in these areas. So as you can see with this particular company, it knows all the way down, but it's a good and useful resource to help you pick your ESG stocks. So I don't think that this one is going to make it into my portfolio because it's got that high score there. You can see it's in the 62nd percentile. So it is worse than 62% of all other companies. So that's not good. I would rather it lower than that. But this is how you can do your research. Pick a company, just have a look for yourself and use those risk scores to help you make your decisions around which companies might be the right ones for you to invest in. Okay, so now it's time to talk about what my choice for this month is. And I'm going for a big name this month. Okay, so I'm going for Adobe. So this is the kind of like software company. Now, let me show you on the Yahoo Finance app what it looks like in terms of its ESG rating. Okay, so this is Adobe on the stocks app, and it's like over the last 6 months, it's been a bit up and down, but it's not too bad. It's doing pretty well at the moment. So from a financial perspective, and with my sort of fairly limited knowledge about this, it's actually doing pretty well. So I'm going to go ahead and head over to the Yahoo Finance to see how it rates from an ESG perspective. Now, obviously, I have done my research on this one already. So this has an ESG risk score of 11. So this is in the second percentile. So this means that there's only like 2% of companies are better than it, okay? So this means that what we have is a pretty good company on an ESG score basis. So their environmental risk score, they're obviously doing digital stuff. So this is, the impact on the environment is quite low, but their risk score there is 0.5, slightly higher on the social risk score. And again, the governance risk score was a bit higher too. But when we compare that to the example that I just gave for Tesla, these scores are pretty low. Again, low on the controversy level. And when I have a look at these product involvement areas, they are not involved in any of those things. So that's not something that I need to consider. So from an ESG perspective, this is a good choice for me. When we look at the other reasons why I'm picking this particular company is I'm familiar with this company. We've all heard of Adobe. We are using their software. I personally use their software loads for things to do with my business. I also know from doing some research on this company that they have good profit margins. Obviously, because they're digital, they can produce something and then ship it out to loads of people at not a huge expense. I think when I looked at their margins, it was like something like 86%. This is a profitable company, and that suggests some element of reliability. I don't think this company are going to go anywhere anytime soon. Now, obviously, I'm basing this on kind of like my own thoughts and feelings about this particular company. I don't know what's kind of going on under the surface. So they have done particularly well this year, particularly because of the pandemic. Obviously, people at home, the rise in the need for like digital resources and things like this has gone up. So I know that they've probably got a bright future, and I'm hopeful that this could be a stock that is going to work out for me. One great feature about eToro is that they have this copy people, so you can do copy trading. So beware if you're going to do this, that some of these people are actually trading. They might be using these CFDs, which you could lose money if you do. But it's a great way to think about investing if you are not particularly familiar with how it works. You can just find somebody that you like and just copy exactly what they do, which I think is kind of a fun aspect, and I will talk about in a future video. So let's go ahead then and look at how you can actually buy this particular stock. So I want to buy this Adobe stock. So first up, I might need to deposit funds. Now I have already done this, but if you wanted to do that, it's at that bottom at the bottom. The minimum amount you can deposit is this $200, or at the moment it's £145 based on the conversion rate. So I've already done that. I've got money that is here to spend. So I'm going to go ahead and search for the stock that I want to buy. So here we go. And if I click on that, I can then click that blue trade button. Lots of information here. The one thing that you want to watch out for is that you are doing the 1 times leverage. So this is where you are buying the underlying asset. If you change that leverage to like 2 times, 5 times, whatever, then you're going to be doing this CFD thing. If you've got it right, it will say you are buying the underlying asset. So you know that you are investing and not doing this weird trading thing. You can then choose the amount that you want to buy. So I'm going to buy $50 here. I'm not going to add anything around like a stop loss, and I'm not going to look at any particular like taking a profit when it gets to a certain value. I'm just going to leave it there and let it do its thing. And it tells me nicely that this is a commission-free trade, which is another great feature about eToro. The market is closed at the moment, but I'm going to set this at the market rate. So whatever price it is when the market opens, I'm going to buy it at that price, and I'm going to buy $50 worth. So I'm going to set that order. And if I head into my orders, I can see it there and it is ready to go. So it's going to take a little while for it to actually buy, but there it is, it's ready, and we'll be able to check back later to see how that does. So that's it. That is the really start of my ESG investment portfolio journey. I hope that you are going to check in and see how this progresses, see which stock I pick next, and see how well my portfolio does. If you are interested in learning more about investing, then please do go check out my other videos, or you can catch me on my social media channels. I'm putting out content there all the time, so you are, if you're bored waiting for my next video to show up, then there are lots of other ways that you can interact with me and continue to learn more about your finances. Thank you very much for watching today. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and leave me a comment below. Are you interested in ethical investing? And if you are, what are you doing to learn more about it? Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.